Hey guys, Nicholai here, back at you with another reaction slash Twitter audit, and this time it's on Dan. Now he spells his name backwards now because he thinks it's clever and tongue-in-cheek, but it's not. It's kind of lame. Now he's gone by different names throughout the time. He used to be patristic fan, etc., etc., but now he goes by this name. Now, what is the problem with? We're gonna talk about what he has to say. Now, the first thing I want to reference is that to give you some background, a couple years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago at this point, it was around the time that I was about to be baptized, so probably about 4 years ago. This man was a catechumen for all of 1 month. No joke. He was a catechumen for all of 1 month before he couldn't even obey the basics of his spiritual father slash priest. He couldn't even listen for 1 month in terms of don't read this stuff, start with this stuff, and we'll slowly work our way in. But he read himself out of the church within 1 month because he had so much pride in his own interpretation and his own reading of the scriptures and the saints that he read himself right out. No joke, no lie. Less than a month later, this guy was going around telling Orthodox how to fix orthodoxy. He is one of these people that has basically built his own church in his head and just lives it out. And people like this don't have a meaningful spiritual life. Let's be clear. They don't go to the services. They don't have a prayer life. They don't fast. They think that being spiritual means reading a bunch of patristic works without understanding. This is why the Orthodox ethos, the Orthodox understanding of these things is thromina. He doesn't have the mindset, and he never adopted it and never even tried to adopt it. This is why he read himself out of the catechumen in like 1 month. So Dan is not a serious interlocutor. He never has been. But now he goes on and says this. People need to start talking about the Athonite problem. It's real, and it's basically an intensified form of elderism problem, and it needs to be addressed. Now, someone says, and what is the Athonite problem? The Athonite problem is this. Athos and its dissidents are considered the spiritual heart of Eastern Orthodox Church, a supposed bastion of tradition. Okay, first off, the monastic life, so that's not just Mount Athos, but monastics generally are the spiritual heart of Orthodoxy. That's from all the way from Valum to Mount Athos to the monastics in America, from like Elder Ephraim and others. Uh, they are the spiritual heart of it. They are the ones that hold on to the tradition. They are the ones that have kept us on the path. They're the ones that preserve the faith. Now we're going to read the rest of this and we're going to see just exactly where he gets all of this wrong. Anyways, but Athonites are just monks, susceptible to same the folly and error as the rest of us. That is just, that's spiritual delusion right there. To say that an Athonite monk who dedicates their entire life to God in prayer, fasting, and the rigors of the pursuit of holiness, compared to your average layperson, is just, I'm sorry, it's not even remotely comparable. Yes, there are rare exceptions. I wouldn't say rare, but there are exceptions where married couples who are doing as St. John Chrysostom lays out can achieve the same level of holiness as monastics, but that is not common or consistent. Okay? Not nearly as much as people like to think. There's different challenges living in the world as a married person, but monastics are for sure 100% the spiritual heart of orthodoxy. So him calling it a problem immediately shows you his mindset. He thinks, well, those silly guys over there, they don't know more than me. You can tell it's just about he's offended that people would think that they're more wise than someone like himself. He doesn't say that, but you can feel that like tonality in the way that he just is like this like argument from incredulity. He finds it incredulous that people would find monks more more spiritually have a more spiritually cleaned noose and other things of that nature than him. How dare they? That's the attitude that you're coming across with someone like Dan. Now he says, nor are monastics the theoretical faculty of the Eastern Orthodox Church, which is the episcopate, parish clergy, and formal teachings. believe it or not, most of our episcopate and parish clergy, a lot of them come from the monastic community. Athos and his residents are not totally aloof from the world and church politics, and some have, for example, become promoters of heretics. Now we're gonna. This is where we get it. This is where the mask comes off. And became promoters of the heretic Romanides. Now Romanides is not a heretic. Romanides teaches basic Orthodoxy 101 stuff. Dan, who is not Orthodox, doesn't get to speak on behalf of us. You gave up that when you decided not to become Orthodox, when you lasted less than a month in the catechumenate, Dan, you little liar. The way that you carry yourself does a disservice. Now, I want to add that for some reason, all the Latinizers and the crypto Calvinist goblins that claim to be Orthodox, they all kind of follow Dan and like will run around and like his comments and things like that. But you'll also notice something else. They all have a problem with one man, Father John Romanides. Now, Father John Romanides, all of his written works are in every single jurisdiction. They're widely disseminated. They're some of the first works of theology that are translated into new languages. Orthodox, Father John Romanides is Orthodox. His teachings are Orthodox, and they are the consistent teachings of the Church. Period. Anyone saying otherwise is just coping with the fact that we are not Latin in our theological orientation. That it wasn't the West that preserved the faith, it was the East. It's just people that are coping and seething about that. Now let's continue. This gives undue credibility to such people and their theology, which isn't raised, let alone corrected, because aforementioned deference to Athenites. Again, it's not just Athenites. Every single monastic I've ever talked to, including ones in England, in America, in Russia, in Korea. And in fact, we have 4 monastics in Korea that I've spoken to regularly, including my bishop. All of them have nothing but good things to say about Father John Romanides. All of them have nothing but good things to say about him. This is not just an Athonite quote unquote thing. Okay. I'm gonna respond to him in a second actually to correct this because I don't want people being misled. Notice Henry, by the way, great follow. Nobody cares what you think. The problem is, don't care what I think. Care about the gospel and historical reality. Are you Anglican? If that's a very funny statement. He's not anything, guys. He is a build your own church heretic. He doesn't have a church. He has no authority. He has no accountability. He has nothing. Dan is a build your own church Protestant. Now he's a quote unquote high church Protestant, but in order to be high church Protestant, you actually have to partake in the sacraments. You actually have to live the Protestant life. You actually have to have hierarchy. You actually have to have a spiritual father. You actually have to have someone that can hold you accountable. He doesn't have any of that. He just sits here on the internet all day long and just talks about his opinion on things. We're talking about a guy that is so seriously unserious. That's not what I wanted to do. I don't know what Grok is doing. We're going to stop that. I just wanted to open up a new link and see his bio. He just says white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. That's all he says. His entire theology is built off word concept fallacies and just picking and choosing what he selects from the church fathers or doesn't. Very unserious person. So, yeah, I mean, if you guys really want, to take this guy seriously, go right on ahead. But if you know somebody who is Orthodox who engages with Dan and takes his criticism seriously, what? No one likes him. So that being said, I hope you guys, and by the way, he's insufferable. There's a reason why he's only got 2,000 followers despite being here for as many years as he has. No one likes him. He is just insufferable. Um, with that being said, I've been open to a debate with him. I've said, hey, we can go into spaces. He has me blocked for a reason. That's because he knows I'll call him out for his nonsense, and because I know his history. This account, by the way, is a remake from a previous account. I think he was on here since 2020 at least. So, but oh well. We'll see that he offers nothing of seriousness, and will continue to ankle bite at Orthodox while we continue to grow, and our theology will remain the same, even though he thinks that's a problem. Like, share, and subscribe, guys. Let me know what you want me to respond to next. God bless.